All right, guys, in today's video, you're gonna see a live lesson Steve and I did with Bill. Now, this is actually gonna be a two-part video series. In this first lesson, we're talking through setup and backswing pieces, mainly how to stay centered during the backswing to influence good downswing pieces and make the downswing easier. In the second video, we're gonna talk through the pieces through impact, the release pattern. That'll be next Tuesday. Now, before we dive in, we do have a price increase event going on at CogornoGolf.com. I want you to know about this Sunday at midnight. Our prices will be increasing. We're still offering the first lesson free. I want to take away all the risk. Ultimately, I know you want to improve your game. That's why you're here watching these videos. But to take it beyond you watching these videos, if I could see your swing, I could really help you improve. Even though it's later into the season, there's still plenty of time to get better. You get your first lesson free. I'm going to personally be in there looking at those videos, designing a plan for you to improve. I'm talking specific drills, reps, everything you need. Ultimately, you know, and I know, you got to do something a little bit different to start seeing different results, to get better results. So I urge you to take advantage of things now. Take advantage of the free first lesson. Take advantage of the free trial. Lock in our lowest prices. We're going to put the link down below, CogornoGolf.com/free trial. Hope you guys enjoy this video.
All right, so in the setup, your arms could be a little bit straighter and closer together. See how your elbows are facing in a little bit, and see how Chris's are facing a little more out.
Okay.
And the grip, we'll get to the grip. It's a little bit too much in your palm, but it's more if you get your elbows and your arm joints better, that'll actually affect the grip a little bit. Your foot, your back foot, both feet frankly could be turned out more, especially your trail foot. That'll help you have a little bit more hip turn and also less sway.
So stabilize the base a little bit
Yeah.
more? Okay.
So the main thing that myself and Eric were seeing is when you go back, you have a little bit too much sway right here. So see how your pelvis sways too much to your left, our right here.
Away from the target.
Yes, away from the target. And as that's happening, there's not enough hip turn, which makes your hands and arms get too up. In the beginning, when you were saying I used to be flat, I kind of whispered to Eric, I was like, he needs to do that again.
I was going to say, you got to put more of that in there.
Yeah.
But it's due to the body motion.
Yeah, it's due to what your hips are doing. So when you're going back, or I'll put some dots on the knee joints. When you go back, your right knee goes too in.
Okay.
Right knee goes too in, pelvis sways too much. And that's the beginning of your hands and arms lifting. Where you can see back here, when he goes back, his back leg will straighten. And see how his front knee goes more down?
Yeah.
And his hips are turning, and he's much more forward than you are.
It just stays in that
Right, well, he goes ahead of it.
Oh yeah.
He actually slides about an inch forward, right? The hip should move about an inch forward from setup to the top, towards the front.
And to touch on that piece, and you'll see when we go down the line, the more your hips are working away from the target, the more that's going to make your downswing work like over the top, outside
steep
in.
hands.
So so would that explain? You know, I've always heard swing out for me to left field, right? But I feel like when I try to do that, I can't. Obviously, I know what it's like if I'm standing here static.
It's because of where you're coming from.
I just can't get that.
At the top.
Yeah, once we clean up the pelvis and knee motion, that'll get the bottom of the swing, and the grip too. Once we clean that part up, that'll get the bottom of the swing more forward. It'll also get the club deeper behind you.
Okay.
So you'll hit more from the inside. You'll reduce the pull.
Okay. So like this golfer on this guy, you'd be like, definitely hits pulls. This guy definitely hits like push draws from just where his body is in the backswing.
Got it.
Because it affects those pieces he just mentioned.
Okay.
You'll see that when we do the down the
So
line
now
stuff.
you're coming down right here. Right, the hips should be more forward.
Oh yeah.
Right, see how the lower body's more forward on the left than the right. So right when you're coming down right here, it's too casted, too unhinged, weight's too far back. Bottom of the swing be behind the ball. Front wrist is a little bit cupped. Once again, this goes back to the grip and the setup.
Okay.
And you can see when he's coming down, right, see the difference. Hips are more forward, arms are straighter.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Front wrist, there's impact. Right, there's your impact. Once again, the setup is going to help clean up some of this.
Okay.
And then here's him going through. Right, hips are forward, arms are stretched out. Not too bad, really, through the hit. And that's funny. because he made that comment that and earlier that threw the ball. That's his best part.
Yeah, that's the best part.
The best part you do is actually through the hit.
You get those sensations because where you're coming from is very difficult to get there.
Yeah.
Look at how nice that is through the hit.
It's very good through the hit.
So through the hit's really good.
Okay.
Now let's go back to the setup pieces again just for a second for this.
Yeah.
So, because there's a couple of pieces here you're going to see, right? Like the arm and the grip piece we'll talk through, and then also the ball position. So like as you work through, if you looked at where his ball is and your ball is, and just so if you looked at like a chart or like a whiteboard, and you're like, hey, I want to get rid of pulls. So you'd have these elements that would lead to pulls and these elements that would lead to, let's say, pushes or draws. Everything you have in there that would lead to a pull, you want to kind of cross off, right? Check mark that. So your ball position's probably on the forward end of the spectrum. It's not like a huge issue, but it's another piece that would make the ball start more to the right.
Yeah.
That would lead to the pull-on.
And I subconsciously know that I know subconsciously know are different things, but I cheat it forward because, you know, if I'm on the range and I hit a little bit of a hosel, I'm like, ooh, and I protect myself by moving that ball up to get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a function of being scared, I think.
Yeah. And just so you know, like when you go play, any golfer in any swing, you change that one element. That's one of the things that would change the ball pattern. So you always can move the ball more back.
Okay.
Regardless of where your swing is.
You'd be better off moving it more back,
Okay.
not forward.
Just for the pulls.
Yeah, no.
Just for the pulls.
Absolutely.
But right here, when you start going back, the club goes too far out. It's not deep enough. And that's because of the sway and there's not enough hip turn. You'll see when I take mine back, see how my hands and arms are in more?
Yeah.
And how there's more of a gap between my legs. So like right here, when your arm's parallel to the ground, we're looking at the hand path would go more through the bicep, right? See how my hands are going through like my bicep right in there. And then as you get to the top, you start lifting your hands and arms up. See how high your arms are. It's like right in, I'll go back a frame, like right in here, your hand should be more behind your shoulder.
Okay.
A little bit of touch-up work to do with the shaft, but the depth is the main piece.
Yeah, and that's all from the front view. That's what we were just saying is if we can get the hip turn right, get the setup, the feet flared, the hip turn right with the knee flex proper, hips more forward, that'll lower your arms from down the line.
So when you do a swing like this, let's just say I'm looking at this camera, the more that your hips would move away from the target, me as a righty, the more they would lift, the more my hips would turn centered, if you will, or around me, the more your arms would go in.
Okay.
That's a function of that hip motion.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And because of where you're at the top here, how high your arm is, see how my arm's more down and, and the club's more behind.
You can see where that arm goes through,
right?
Like your shoulder.
Yeah, you kind of, that'd be a good baseline that you want it to be. You know, your arm would go more through the shoulder plane. Be a good baseline. But then when you come down, because of the backswing that you're in, when you come down, there's it coming across. Just mine falling in more.
So even if you look at these two, like you see where his shaft pitches like through the middle part of his bicep
and yours is by your neck.
Yeah.
So when you are recording yourself, that's a really good spot to where you can like, hey, do I need to do this more or less different? That shaft should always be underneath your shoulder.
Okay.
When you come down during the downswing.
So right in here.
Yeah.
Under that.
We'll go through.
Down in
More
here.
bicep.
Okay.
All right. Shaft is hitting your right forearm. Here's mine hitting my left. Outside. Inside. There's the sweet spot out. That's where the heel hit can come in. See how the sweet spot's outside the ball?
Yep.
And see how when I'm hitting on my sweet spot's inside the ball. And then really from here on, it's pretty good.
Really from there on, it's pretty good.
Yeah, from here on, it's not too bad. It's really not too bad compared to, you know, the other stuff that we need to do. Flare the feet more. Both feet need to be flared more. We need to get our elbows closer together, squeezing your elbows closer together. That'll help put the grip more near your fingers.
Okay.
Because it's a little bit too much in your palm. So elbows closer together, flare the feet. That'll help get the grip in the fingers. Ball back a ball. We'll say ball back a ball.
Yep.
Now from here, when you go back, what you're going to feel is you're going to feel like your front knee is going more down and more forward. It might feel to you like you're moving your weight way to the right because of how much sway you have. So you're going to be feeling like the right knee goes down more, the back leg is straightening, and as you're going back, the hips are turning, and as they're turning, they're moving a little bit more towards the target on the downswing. And that's going to give you more turn in your hips and shoulders, and that's going to make it easier from down the line, take the club more around you so it would come more from the inside.
Okay.
That's kind of how I'd say to start
Perfect.
fingers.
Fingers.
And then the heel pad goes more on the top, so it's more in your fingers. That's fine right there.
Okay.
And then put your hands on the club and squeeze your elbows together. Yep. Flare your feet more. Good.
Cool.
Then when you go back, you're going to be feeling like your hips go more towards your right foot. Yeah, keep turning. And the club's going to feel like it goes a little bit more behind you and around.
Okay.
And we'll be filming this as we're doing this. So you can be like, wow, my hips feel really forward. We'll be like, no, they're just perfect, right? We'll go back and forth on that and show you, hey, how low do we need to go, right? We'll go through the feels.
Yep.
Now, when you do this grip piece that's turned stronger like this, that would have a net effect of closing the club face.
Okay.
When you have your weaker grip pattern, like let's go where you were before, all else equal, that would have a face that would be more open.
Okay.
Right? Face that's more open would add loft, ball goes shorter. And if anything, relative to where it starts, it would want to curve more to the left.
Okay, yeah,
All else equal, right? It also would incentivize your brain to swing really far over the top, right? If you had a really closed club face, all of your incentive of your brain would be to swing more from in to out just to get the ball at the target.
Okay, okay.
You with me?
Yeah.
And so like, there's a ton of micro functions of what he just changed there, but like the elementary version is like, that's gonna have a big effect. It's gonna affect your hinging, but it's gonna affect the club face angle.
Okay.
Right? And then your hips turning on the way back are gonna affect where you get the club during your backswing.
Yeah, it'll be lower.
Right? They're gonna be lower and deeper. So if we want your downswing to swing more, let's just say macro, go ahead and take your grip. Let's say macro, keep your hands on the club. We want your swing path to work more this way, right? Let's just say that's like sort of our net effect. That would be harder to do from up here.
Yeah.
That'd be easier to do from back here, right? And so when you do your hip motion, that's gonna allow us to get your arms, hands, club back there, just to make the downswing easier to do.
Okay.
You with me? So we're just stacking pieces, like what's gonna make this easy for you?
Sure.
Right.
And every element we put in earlier in the system will make it easier to do the pieces into the hit. And then you're pretty good through the ball, right?
Yeah.
So that's just the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
So let's do the setup piece again. Just put this in
Keep
your sort of
squeezing your
reference.
elbows like tight together. A little more back foot flare. There you go.
And then in terms of this ball position, I'm just gonna keep this in here where that's gonna be more neutral.
Yep.
You already look like a different golfer.
This feels so strange.
Yeah.
And it has to.
Elbows a little tighter.
It has to.
Yep. And then now do your backswing and just feel like you move to the, you're not gonna hit this. Just feel like you move to the right on your
this way, right?
on your backswing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get
It's
a picture
recording?
of that. All right, ready? Elbows tight. Okay, good. Move to the right and hit it, or just swing back. Sorry. Yep, got it.
Beautiful.
Here, you can see this. You want to see this one
Yeah.
real quick?
Because it's gonna take you feeling like, holy shit, my hips feel forward.
Yeah.
Just to stay on the line.
Okay.
Just to stay neutral.
Okay.
Here
You
you
gotta
go.
crank the exaggeration.
Real quick on this one.
Wow.
Right. That's pretty much what it would be like. There's been like no sway on any of them.
No, it's perfect. Setup looks great.
Yeah. Another good one. Same thing, just like the last one, all right? Eric, you rolling?
Yep.
All right, elbows tight, gonna move forward, around, hit it out. Good.
Miles better.
Okay, watch this. Clearly the setup's already better, but the big thing here is the hand path. So when you go back, hands aren't going in enough, right? It's not enough hip turn, sway. Now here when you're going back, you're straightening your trail leg more, bending the front, hand pass going much more around you.
Okay.
If anything, this is slightly overdone, but that's okay for right now. Here's you lifting your arms, right? No knee flex, or sorry, no hip turn because there's no gap in the knee, I'm gonna say. And here's this one moving around you. So there's this one right at the top.
like
See how
nailed
see how it's lined up really good right there?
Yeah, wow.
Now watch, when this comes down, here's it coming across. Here's it coming in. It's almost two in.
Yeah.
It's too exaggerated.
It's two in, but that's okay.
Which is what we want to do.
Yeah, it's just fifth ball.
Yeah.
Sure, fifth ball.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, there's the club outside. Here's it in.
Wow.
Right? So pretty good. And there's a sweet spot in, there's a sweet spot out. All right, so let's keep on hammering away at those.
Wow.
It's a little different.
Totally different.
Same feels, forward and around. That was awesome.
Yeah, good.
Just freaking see the roll.